Artificial islands neutralized. 7 Chinese military bases built on artificial islands. Billions invested in fortifications. 1 American carrier strike group proves they're all worthless. This is how maritime engineering cannot overcome naval aviation superiority. China spent decades constructing artificial islands in disputed waters. Fiery Cross Reef, Sea Reef, Mischief Reef. Each received thousands of tons of sand dredged from ocean floor to create military installations where international law says no permanent structures exist. Runways capable of hosting fighter aircraft. Hangars for storage and maintenance. Radar installations providing surveillance across vast ocean areas. Anti-ship missile batteries with overlapping coverage zones. Surface-to-air missile systems creating integrated air defense network. Shore-based artillery threatening naval vessels within range. Underground bunker complexes protecting command facilities and ammunition storage. This infrastructure cost China estimated $10 billion and represents their most visible commitment to controlling South China Sea through military presence that other nations cannot ignore or easily challenge. USS Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group operates from international waters 200 kilometers from nearest artificial island. The carrier's mission is clear: demonstrate that Chinese island bases cannot deny access to international waters regardless of how much China invested in fortification and military infrastructure. American planners studied these islands extensively through satellite reconnaissance and intelligence collection. They know every building, every radar, every missile battery, every defensive position. This knowledge enables targeting that will systematically degrade Chinese military capability across all 7 islands simultaneously through coordinated strikes that China cannot effectively defend against with current air defense technology and fighter coverage. Navy Power TV takes you inside the operation that proved artificial islands are just expensive targets when facing carrier aviation with comprehensive strike capability and stealth technology that defeats island-based defenses through superior sensors and standoff weapons. Which American capability neutralizes island defenses most effectively? A. F-35C stealth strikes. B. Tomahawk missiles. C. EA-18G electronic warfare. Comment below. The operation begins with electronic warfare. EA-18G Growlers orbit beyond missile range while jamming Chinese radar systems across all 7 islands. Their AN/ALQ-99 pods broadcast powerful jamming signals that corrupt Chinese radar returns and prevent target acquisition. Chinese air defense operators see screens filled with noise and false targets. They cannot distinguish actual threats from electronic phantoms. Their fire control radars cannot maintain locks. Their missiles cannot receive mid-course guidance updates. The entire integrated air defense network degrades to ineffective state before kinetic strikes even begin. Chinese commanders on the islands face impossible situation: keep radars active and accomplish nothing due to jamming, or shut down radars and become blind to incoming threats. Some choose to fight through jamming with predictable results. Their SAM systems launch at false targets while real threats approach undetected. Others choose to shut down and preserve equipment, but sacrifice any defensive capability. Either choice leads to same outcome. American strike aircraft penetrate defenses without effective opposition. Stay with me because what happens next demonstrates why spending billions on fixed installations means nothing when adversary possesses mobile strike platforms that engage from ranges where fixed defenses cannot respond effectively. F-35C, Lightning II. Stealth fighters approach the islands from multiple directions simultaneously. Their low observable characteristics make them nearly invisible to surviving Chinese radars struggling through American jamming. The F-35Cs carry GBU-53 Stormbreaker smart bombs, small diameter weapons with tri-mode guidance that home on targets using millimeter wave radar, infrared imaging, and semi-active laser designation. These weapons were designed specifically for destroying hardened structures and mobile targets in complex environments. The first target set includes Chinese HQ-9 surface-to-air missile launchers. These systems represent primary air defense for the islands, Each island hosts one HQ-9 battery with 8 launchers and dedicated fire control radar. The F-35Cs release weapons from 40 kilometers range. The Stormbreaker bombs glide to targets using GPS guidance before activating terminal seekers. Chinese crews have seconds warning before impact. The launchers explode as warheads penetrate launcher structures before detonating inside. Secondary explosions indicate ready missiles cooking off in sympathetic detonations. All 14 HQ-9 launchers across 7 islands are destroyed in opening strike wave. Chinese air defense collapses within 15 minutes of engagement start. Chinese J-11 fighters scramble from fiery Cross Reef runway. These are domestically produced copies of Russian Su-27 flanker design, capable aircraft in air-to-air combat when flown by experienced pilots. But they're 4th-generation fighters facing 5th-generation stealth opponents with superior sensors and weapons integration. The technological gap combined with electronic warfare support creates engagement conditions where Chinese pilots cannot effectively compete. F-35C fighters detect J-11s at ranges exceeding 150 kilometers through advanced AESA radar and sensor fusion. Chinese pilots see nothing on their radar displays. Their radar warning receivers indicate they're being tracked, but they cannot acquire targeting information on the threats tracking them. AIM-120D missiles launch from F-35C weapons bays. Active radar homing missiles that Chinese pilots cannot evade because they don't know missiles are inbound until terminal guidance activates. 6 J-11 fighters die without firing shots. The survivors retreat to mainland bases. Chinese commanders realize their island-based aviation cannot survive against American stealth fighters with comprehensive electronic warfare support. How many artificial islands can one carrier strike group neutralize simultaneously? A. 3 islands. B. 5 islands. C. 7+ islands. Answer at end. The second strike wave targets Chinese military infrastructure. Runways, hangars, radar installations, communication facilities, fuel storage, ammunition bunkers, power generation, desalination plants. Every system required for sustained military operations becomes target for precision weapons launched from multiple directions simultaneously. Tomahawk cruise missiles launch from American destroyers and submarines. These land attack missiles carry 1,000-pound warheads, programmed with specific aim points based on intelligence analysis of critical structures. The Tomahawks approach at low altitude following terrain-masking flight profiles that make interception difficult, even for functional air defenses. Chinese islands possess degraded defenses after opening strikes destroyed their primary SAM systems. The Tomahawks impact targets with precision measured in single-digit meters. Runways crater under penetrating warheads designed specifically for destroying reinforced concrete. The craters make runways unusable for fixed-wing aircraft operations. Repair would take weeks even if China could protect repair crews from follow-on strikes. Hangars collapse as warheads detonate inside structures, causing catastrophic damage to aircraft sheltered within. Chinese J-11 fighters and support helicopters become scrap metal. Radar installations disappear as concrete towers supporting radar arrays collapse under warhead impacts. Chinese surveillance capability across South China Sea degrades dramatically when islands cannot provide radar coverage. Communication facilities cease functioning when antennas are destroyed and buried cables severed. Quantity versus quality reaches definitive conclusion when quality includes precision weapons with specific aim points and quality intelligence, while quantity means fixed structures that cannot maneuver or hide from targeting. Comment Q or L. American submarines launch additional Tomahawk missiles targeting Chinese anti-ship missile batteries. These YJ-12 missiles represent serious threat to surface vessels within their 400-kilometer range. But threats only matter if they can acquire targets and launch successfully. American strikes destroy missile batteries before they can engage carrier group. The submarines also target underground bunker complexes using bunker-penetrating warheads. These specialized Tomahawks carry reduced explosive charge but hardened casings designed to penetrate several meters of reinforced concrete before detonating inside protected spaces. Chinese command facilities buried under artificial islands prove vulnerable to weapons specifically designed to defeat hardened targets. If you believe artificial islands are expensive strategic liabilities, type Navy Power TV now. Chinese forces on the islands face catastrophic situation. Their air defense destroyed, their aircraft destroyed, their runways unusable, their communications disrupted, their missile batteries eliminated, their command facilities damaged. They possess small arms and anti-aircraft guns, but these weapons cannot engage American aircraft operating beyond their range. The islands transformed from military assets to military liabilities in less than 4 hours of sustained American strikes. Chinese strategic investment of $10 billion just evaporated. The islands still exist physically, but their military utility approaches zero. Rebuilding would require years and billions in additional investment. During that rebuilding period, the islands remain vulnerable to additional American strikes that could destroy reconstruction efforts. This is the strategic failure of fixed fortifications when facing mobile platforms with superior strike capability and standoff weapons. Navy Power TV examines why this matters beyond immediate tactical success. China invested heavily in these islands based on assumption that international opposition would remain limited to diplomatic protests and legal challenges. They believed physical possession of militarized islands would deter military responses through defensive capability and escalation risks. American operation proved both assumptions wrong. Physical possession means nothing when military capability can be neutralized. Escalation risks are manageable when strikes target military installations rather than mainland China. Chinese strategy of controlling South China Sea through fixed installations collapsed because they fundamentally misunderstood how modern naval warfare favors mobile platforms over fixed defenses. Carrier strike groups can concentrate overwhelming force against specific targets, then redeploy to threaten different areas. Fixed islands cannot move, cannot hide, cannot concentrate forces. They simply absorb attacks until defensive capabilities are exhausted. The strategic lessons influence Chinese military planning across multiple domains. Their investment in fixed fortifications proved counterproductive. Mobile forces would have been more survivable and more flexible. Their air defense systems proved inadequate against stealth aircraft and electronic warfare. Their fourth-generation fighters cannot compete against fifth-generation opponents. Every assumption underlying their South China Sea strategy was tested and found wanting. Regional nations watching this operation recognize that Chinese military cannot defend its positions against American opposition. Philippines gains confidence that Chinese occupation of disputed features can be challenged militarily if diplomatic efforts fail. Vietnam sees that Chinese military is not invincible. Malaysia and Indonesia recognize that American naval power can counterbalance Chinese attempts at regional hegemony through military intimidation. The operation cost approximately $500 million in munitions and operational expenses. China lost $10 billion in infrastructure plus unknown billions in political capital and regional influence. The cost-benefit analysis favors American intervention overwhelmingly. Which technology proved most decisive? Stealth fighters, cruise missiles, or electronic warfare? Drop assessment below. Technology supremacy confirmed. One carrier strike group engaged 7 fortified islands simultaneously and neutralized all military capability within 4 hours. That's the answer to our quiz. Carrier aviation with proper support can engage multiple fixed targets across vast areas through coordinated strikes that fixed defenses cannot counter effectively. Can China rebuild these islands and create effective defenses against future American strikes? Current evidence suggests no. American stealth technology and precision weapons will only improve over time. Chinese ability to defend fixed positions against mobile strike platforms remains fundamentally disadvantaged by physics and geography that favor attackers over defenders in maritime domain. The fundamental problem with China's artificial island strategy extends beyond immediate military vulnerability. Fixed positions create strategic rigidity that mobile forces exploit mercilessly. American carriers can appear anywhere along thousands of kilometers of coastline, forcing China to defend everywhere simultaneously. Chinese islands defend only their immediate vicinity. This asymmetry means American planners choose when and where to engage, while Chinese defenders must prepare for attacks that could come from any direction at any time. Resource allocation favors attackers under these conditions, because defenders must spread resources across all potential targets, while attackers concentrate forces against specific objectives. Chinese military planning for island defense faces insurmountable challenges. Rebuilding destroyed infrastructure takes months minimum. During reconstruction period, islands remain vulnerable to follow-on strikes that destroy partially completed repairs. American surveillance satellites monitor reconstruction efforts, providing targeting updates for subsequent attacks. Chinese engineers cannot work effectively under continuous threat of precision strikes destroying their progress. This makes reconstruction economically unfeasible when costs exceed benefits, and completion remains uncertain due to persistent American ability to destroy repairs faster than China can complete them. International legal implications compound Chinese strategic failure. Artificial islands do not generate territorial seas under international law. China cannot legally claim exclusive economic zones around artificial structures built on submerged features. American operations near these islands occur in international waters regardless of Chinese protests. This legal framework means American strikes against military infrastructure on artificial islands do not constitute attacks on Chinese territory. The escalation dynamics favor United States because operations occur in disputed waters where Chinese claims lack international recognition. Chinese attempts to characterize American strikes as aggression against Chinese territory fail when international community recognizes artificial islands as illegal military outposts rather than legitimate territorial claims. What's next for South China Sea disputes? Continued American freedom of navigation operations backed by demonstrated capability to neutralize any military infrastructure China builds in disputed waters. Chinese artificial islands remain physical structures, but their military utility approaches zero when American carriers can destroy defensive systems faster than China can rebuild them. The strategic investment of $10 billion produced vulnerable targets rather than defensible positions. Chinese military leadership must report this failure to political leadership, who authorized massive expenditures based on assumptions about defensive capability that proved completely wrong when tested against American carrier strike capability. Subscribe to Navy Power TV, where elite naval power meets cutting-edge technology, proving artificial islands are expensive targets, not strategic assets when facing carrier aviation superiority. Superior fleets. Advanced weapons. Hit notification for analysis, showing why fixed fortifications cannot survive modern naval warfare against adversaries with stealth technology, precision weapons, and comprehensive strike capability that neutralizes defenses through coordinated attacks across multiple target sets simultaneously.